Well, I just came across a news brief from my hometown of Glenview. Apparently, something bad happened there. Now, I know what you're thinking. Glenview being a town where the average house has a $100,000 income, what could possibly go wrong in Glenview? Well, this.
Crime scene tape drapes around Long Road and Hackberry Lane in Glenview, where police say a man was found dead inside this home Monday night. Detectives were seen combing through the house for hours today and bringing out bags to further investigate. Multiple evidence markers seen in and outside the house, painting a gruesome discovery. Close friends of the man told me he was found by another friend who stopped by to check on him.
He was watching from the window, watching through, and then he see them laying down on the ground with a lot of blood.
Friends and neighbors say the man was from Iraq and had just purchased his home in June. He was newly engaged and were told he spent the entire summer rehabbing the house with plans to move his fiancée from Iraq into the home to start a new life.
This shouldn't have happened. It was a new future for him.
And that future is now shattered. Tonight, police have not said just how that man died. They're still investigating the cause. If you have any information, you're asked to give them a call.
Now, that was from 2 days ago, but I did find an update from last night.
We start with an update on breaking news. Police now say the death of a man in north suburban Glenview was a homicide. 38-year-old Fadhil Obeid was found dead inside his home on Long Road late Monday night. Investigators say this was a targeted attack and the public is not at risk.
Now see, that type of stuff doesn't normally happen in Glenview. Not since I was like, 15 with Tricia Picacho, who was stabbed multiple times in her back porch? Or has it? I got to thinking, and I got to searching, and I found a few other things.
Suburban police have made an arrest in the fatal stabbing of a 15-year-old boy earlier this month.
WGN's Dana Rebick is in Glenview with more about the teenage suspect.
Glenview police say this 16-year-old boy turned himself in here at the police department yesterday morning just after 9 o'clock, and he was then transported to the Cook County Juvenile Detention Center. It has been a little more than 2 weeks since 15-year-old Elias Valdez was found stabbed in the chest around 7 p.m. on August 5th in a grassy area in the 1200 block of Greenwood Road in Glenview. A passerby called 911 and Valdez was taken to Advocate Lutheran General Hospital, where he died in surgery. There is now a growing memorial at the site, which is between a subdivision and a water pumping station. Valdez would have been an incoming sophomore at Glenbrook South High School.
I also went to Glenbrook South.
He was on the wrestling team, and he was known as a kind, charismatic young man and a leader. His family's pastor says he was well-liked and protective of his younger sisters. The 16-year-old who surrendered to police is facing a second-degree murder charge. He did appear in juvenile court in Skokie today, where a judge released him on electronic monitoring, and his next court date is September 9th.
It's not fair for him to stay home. We want him to be in jail.
Elias Valdez's mother stood outside the Glenview Police Department today, clutching her son's photo, heartbroken over the fact the person who allegedly killed her son is not behind bars. Glenview police said on August 5th, the 15-year-old was found in a grassy area along Greenview Road with a stab wound to his chest. Elias later died at the hospital that same day. Authorities say less than 2 weeks later, a 16-year-old boy from unincorporated Glenview surrendered himself to investigators. The Cook County State's Attorney's Office says the juvenile was charged with second-degree murder and appeared in front of a judge last week. The judge placed the 16-year-old on electronic monitoring until his next court date.
That's just not fair.
The family says they plan to hold a protest outside of the Glenview Police Department next Sunday. As for the 16-year-old who turned himself in, he will be back in court September 9th in Skokie.
Do you remember me staying in Motel 6 in my videos? Well, about 6 months ago, this happened.
One person has been arrested after a woman was found dead in a motel in the northern suburbs. Just after 5 this morning, Glenview police found 27-year-old Aaliyah Frierson shot in a Motel 6 near Milwaukee in the Tri-State Tollway. Officers tried saving her life, but she died at the scene. Police say there's no threat to the public.
Well, Ben, charges have now been filed after a woman was found shot to death in a suburban motel over the weekend. 37-year-old Melvin Trimble faces first-degree murder charges. 27-year-old Aaliyah Frierson was found inside a room at the Motel 6 in Glenview early Sunday morning. Police say she'd been shot in the head. Officers initially took Trimble into custody at the motel and filed charges against him early this morning. He is due in bond court later today.
And apparently, I found yet another one. This is from 1 month ago.
A man from Glenview is confessing to killing his father, stabbing him with a kitchen knife during an argument. 20-year-old Isaac Thurston reportedly stabbed Perrin Thurston after Preston argued about Isaac smoking marijuana before going to work at a coffee shop. Police say it happened Monday morning in the family's home on Arbor Lane in Glenview. The man's mother, as well as another son, had been there at the time of the stabbing. Isaac Thurston is being held on a $1 million bond. This is his first arrest.
I meant to say I found 2 more from a month ago.
Breaking tonight, a double homicide in unincorporated Glenview. Cook County Sheriff's Office says 2 male victims were found with several gunshot wounds near the intersection of Milwaukee Avenue and Michael Todd Terrace. This was around 9 o'clock last night. One of the victims died at the scene. The other was taken to a local hospital. Authorities identified one victim as 16-year-old Jose A. Guzman. If you have any information about the incident, please contact Cook County Sheriff's Police detectives.
The weird thing is I know where these locations are. Like the one that just happened a couple days ago on Long Street. That's between the Glenview train station and the Skokie Courthouse. It's like 3 miles away from the train station, in fact. And then the other one in Michael Todd Terrace. Growing up, that was the bad part of town. The part you don't want to go to. So I was there quite a bit. So yeah, it was the bad part of town. In fact, there was a shooting there when I was younger. I was like sophomore, I think. But nobody actually died. You know what I mean? But the first one, Tricia Picacho, her murder shook the whole town. It was like the first real crime that happened.
Our cameras were there on that August day in 1993. 18-year-old Tricia Picacho walked up to her home, house keys in hand, but never made it inside.
Police suspect that Tricia Picacho's attacker hid in the bushes and waited for her to come home in the middle of the night.
Then 17-year-old Michael Gargiulo lived down the street but wasn't officially linked to the case until 2003, when DNA found under Picacho's fingernails turned out to be a match. But Gargiulo wasn't charged. It took another 8 years before the Cook County State's Attorney's Office charged Gargiulo in the Glenbrook South High School graduate's death, in part thanks to a 48 hours mystery report on the case that brought forward new witnesses.
What we had to go through is insulting.
During his more than a decade of freedom, Gargiulo moved to California, where today a jury found him guilty of attacking 3 other women with knives, killing 2 of them.
Guilty of the crime of attempted murder, guilty of the crime of first-degree murder, guilty of the crime of first-degree murder.
Picacho's friends and family have argued for years that the mishandling of the case here in Illinois may have let a killer go free to commit more crimes. When Gargiulo is sentenced next week in California, he faces a maximum sentence of life in prison without parole.
So, while the Tricia Picacho murder shook Glenview, and me personally, I went to school with her. But her murderer went on to shake a lot of others. Her murderer, Michael Gargiulo, I remember him. I went to school with him too. But he went on to be the well-known Hollywood Ripper. He's the one who killed Ashton Kutcher's girlfriend. But I will elaborate on him in another video. I just wanted to, tell you guys about something that Glenview isn't like that. I swear to God. Glenview, when I was growing up, there was no violent crime at all. The only crime there was maybe a little bit of, breaking into cars, or sneaking in the movie theaters, or a little shoplifting here and there from Gulf Mill Mall. But violence didn't happen. So I made a video about it. But if you want to hear more about the Hollywood Ripper, if you want to know more about the Hollywood Ripper, comment below and let me know. Until then, peace out.